Bhat sir is a professor of pharmaceutics at JSS College of Pharmacy, Mysuru. He has over 24 years of teaching and research experience. His area of the interest include the management science, industrial management, quality assurance, regulatory affairs, designing, development and testing of the polymeric drug delivery systems. Sir has several publications and presentations to his credit. He has developed good relations with the various pharmaceutical industries in the country and visited hands-on training on different aspects of the pharmaceutical industry. So thank you, sir, and your experience will be really useful in the 4th year B.Pharm students. He delivered personality development and soft skill development lectures on the topic like communication skill, memory improvement technique, interpersonal relationship, body language, etc. He has delivered several invited lectures on pharmaceutical management, pharmaceutical industry, soft skill development as a resource person, and has participated in various faculty development program, workshop, conferences, and he is the right person to deliver the talk, as he is currently working as controller of examination at JSS Academy of Higher Education and Research, deemed to be University, Mysuru. Now I request to Bhat sir to proceed further.
Screen visible?
Sir, it is visible. Sir, please make it full screen.
Is
Now
it fine
it is,
now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It is fine, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, sir, for your kind introduction. And thank you very much for inviting me to this program. I'm glad to interact with my esteemed colleagues on the topic NEP 2020 and examination reforms. In fact, I'm very fortunate again back at Pune College of Pharmacy, where I remember about 10 years back or so, I was there as a resource person for one of the faculty development programs at Pune College of Pharmacy. I'm glad again that I am back here for the faculty development program again. NEP 2020 and examination reforms is the topic of discussion today. I request the participants to kindly mute themselves.
Conducting exam only. Yesterday's exam. So I'm documentation work now. So I'm sitting in staff room and conducting that pharmaceutical exam for family. I'm supervising the same. No, I'm talking and I attempt attending the session from that. Will it be okay? Maybe मैं बोल रही थी but आपने start किया slide जो interrupting. I was connecting.
Dr. Sunita, there is, I think you need to mute yourself. There's a lot of disturbance, please. Yeah, thank you. Dear participants, my esteemed colleagues, I will be making my presentation on the following aspects. The first one is the NEP and history of examination reforms in India, higher education, the needs, the problem with the present system, why are reforms required, NEP and assessment, transforming the culture of assessment, and successful implementation. These are all the headings under which I'll be speaking to all of you. Hope I'm audible to all of you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Let me now come to national education policy. Probably from yesterday, you have been already introduced to national education policy. This is the first education policy of the 21st century, which replaces the national policy on education, that is NPA 1986. Basically, what happened, the reforms are required in the educational field. In fact, a lot of reforms are happening. And one important step that we have moved forward by bringing in the national education policy, which is going to be the first education policy of 21st year. And this is built on some of the important aspects like access to everyone. See, education is important. We talk about education, right of education to everyone. So it should be accessible to everyone. There should be equity. So, sort of a similar type of education should be given to everyone so that everyone will come out educated in an equal way. Then quality of education is one of the important aspects, and affordability of the education, and even accountability. When we use the word accountability, it means we should be able to measure the outcome of the education. That's quite important. At the end of education or at the end of the studies, we should be able to understand and assess how much outcome we have really gained from the education. In fact, all these pillars have been aligned with the agenda of sustainable development. India has got its own vision that we should achieve something, sustainable development. To all these 5 things have been aligned with the agenda of sustainable development. In fact, the aim is to transform India into a vibrant knowledge society, a global knowledge superpower. In fact, this is what is required today. We should be globally very strong. In fact, you have been seeing now, due to COVID-19, India is being looked by all other countries because we have made a tremendous progress in the development of vaccines. We were not knowing this at all. Earlier, people in the other world were not knowing that our capabilities. In fact, even today, if you see throughout the world, the vaccine production, any vaccine I'm talking about, we are the highest. We supply about more than 60 to 70% of vaccines to the globe by India. People were not knowing about this. COVID has given an opportunity for us to show to the world that how capable we are. In fact, when first time when the vaccination started in India, everybody was counting, a lot of jokes came. They said that probably you will have to continue wearing masks and use sanitizers. Your turn to get the vaccine will come after 6 years, 7 years, because we will not be able to vaccinate such a big population. All those things they were talking about. Today, you see, we have achieved a target. Today, we have achieved more than 150 crore doses of vaccination. I think it is touching 160 crore doses of vaccination. That's our capacity. That in fact, these vaccines are homemade vaccines. In fact, we imported some vaccines, Sputnik and all that. But what is the majority of the vaccines that have been given or administered in India is all that are made in India only. So that's our capability. In fact, we want to show that we are the global knowledge superpower. That's what is the importance. Hence, we'll have to make the school and college education more holistic, more flexible, multidisciplinary, and it should suit to the 21st century needs, and it should come out or bring out the capabilities that are there in the students. That is what is important. That is what is lacking in our education system, that we are not able to take out what talent is there in an individual. So NEP has been rolled out with sweeping policy changes in the right direction. In fact, global thinking has started now. We are going to work locally, but think globally. And it advocates revamping of the curriculum, important, the methodology of teaching, pedagogy, the methodology of assessment or examinations, And finally, we want to give support to the student to enhance student experience. Ultimately, students should get benefit. The student should be happy. Student should be satisfied. Ultimately, the aim of national education policy is that. So it focuses on overall development of students with scientific temperament. That's quite important. Scientific temperament should be there. And it's not that just science. The meaning of science, scientific temperament is in the sense that every time a creative things should come in the mind of the student. That's very, very important. We should make the country an equitable and vibrant knowledge society. Everybody should be knowledgeable here. Everybody should have an education. Everybody should be an intelligent person in our country. It envisions an India-centric education system. See, somewhere we see even some of our curriculum is still Western-centered because we have borrowed things from the Britishers. And still some education systems are Western-centered. We have to make it India-centered education system and ultimately transform the country into global knowledge superpower. That's what is important here. We have to transform our country into a global superpower. And NEP is aimed at achieving the aspirations, expectations, and requirements of New India. This is all the introduction I just wanted to give of the NEP. Probably you have heard about the NEP from yesterday, but I just wanted to give an introduction that why we are moving towards a transition. And that's how even there will be a transition in the assessment systems and the examination systems that we are going to have. Let me now talk something about what is the history of the assessment in pre-independence era. In fact, okay, if you see here, Vedic periods, there was something called Gurukula systems. You know about Gurukula system, where pupil used to stay with the teachers. Teachers used to identify the talents of the students. There was an overall multidisciplinary teaching that used to happen for the pupil in the Gurukula system. That is how the education system was there in India, that we had Gurukula system where students used to go and stay. Today we talk about the Gurukula system, but today's Gurukula system is something like a residential school. Residential school is not the Gurukula system. Gurukula system was a different system wherein student will be made to learn every aspect of life, including working at home, doing all other type of things apart from education. That was the Gurukula system. In fact, at that time there was evaluation, there was oral recitation used to be there, informal observations used to be there. You know, we see in all Ramayana, Mahabharata, the Gurukula system and Dronacharya teaching Arjuna, Partha, so many things we have seen. So this is how assessment used to be there at that time also. Then came some sort of education in Sanghas, like some sort of a informal school type of thing started, wherein they called it as Sanghas, collective groups. People used to come at one place, sit there, and teachers used to come and do the teaching and all those things. Then Mughals came to India. In fact, madrasas they opened, maktabs they opened, and there also there was assessment. Only oral assessments used to be there. They have to recite, they have to tell the Quran, read, and various aspects of the things used to be learned there. But no external agency, within that only it used to happen. Once the Britishers came, they started thinking of bringing some educational reforms in India. In fact, Charles Wood is the one who is a Britisher, who's an educationist. In fact, he was given a responsibility at that time by the then Governor General of India, Lord Dalhousie. He said that you should give some report on the reformation of the reformation that should happen in the education system in India, and he gave a report that is called as the Wood's Dispatch. He gave the Wood's Dispatch, and the government started slowly implementing this Wood's Dispatch in India. And first matriculation examination was held officially in the year 1857. Then one more commission they made. It was continuing. There was a Sadler Commission, which was headed by one Michael Ernest Sadler. He is in fact a vice chancellor in Britain. he came here and he made some sort of a educational system. He set up secondary and intermediate boards for the conduct of examinations and the conduct of education. Some formal structure was given to the education system in India. In fact, later Hartog committee was again constituted. This is one more committee that was their pre-independence committee that was made by the Britishers. In fact, they also referred that what type of assessment should happen, what type of examination we should do. And they introduced sort of an essay type of questions and all those things. That is how slowly the reformation in the education system that started happening, started from the Gurukula system. We moved into a modern system of education. That's what we study today is a modern system of education. A lot of reforms that happened during the period of time. And it is what all happened pre-independence. After independence, Government of India had a challenge that how do we come out with the reformation in the Indian education system. Till that time, Britishers were there. They were having committees, they were advocating, they were prescribing, they were formulating, they were making and giving various types of facilities to promote the education in India. After independence, Government of India first made one commission, that is S. Radhakrishnan Commission. In fact, it was given a task to develop the educational system in India, that is post-independence. And then they also gave various types of reforms. The reforms were implemented. Then Mudaliar Commission was there. Mudaliar Commission is Dr. Lakshmana Swami Mudaliar, who was the Vice Chancellor of Madras University. He was the heading that particular commission. He also gave various aspects of the reformation that should happen in the examinations and assessment. Then in 1964, there was Kothari Commission, which came in 64 to 66. They also came out with the various assessment methods. Ultimately, all these commissions talked about not only about the improvement in the educational system, also about the assessments and examination changes that should happen so that the students are properly assessed of their capability at the end of the course. So slowly the improvement started happening. So assessment started happening, examinations were bring. In fact, there should be some confidence in the system. If you don't have any examination, there will not be any confidence in the system. We don't know whether the students are capable or not capable. Unless we have some assessment that are done on the students, we will not be able to really tell whether they are capable or not capable. Somewhere the confidence in the system of education started coming out. And then national policy on education started coming. National policy on education came, that was in the year 1968. It recommended a shift from focus of evaluation from certification to improve in learning. See, basically the concept of examinations earlier were to give a degree to the candidate. Okay, give a certificate to the candidate that you have completed and you have got this particular degree. But the shift should happen, the focus shift should happen from just certification to actual learning and improvement in the learning that is happening in the student. That was the focus of National Policy on Education of 1968. Then National Policy of Education in 1986 again suggested elimination of excessive element of subjectivity. See, they said that there is too much of subjectivity in the examinations. You are just asking them to write in detail so many things. You are only trying to find out what is the memory that students has got, nothing more than that. See, we have to ultimately measure how much he has learned rather than just how much he can memorize. See, we are just trying here so many things as an examination just to check his memory, how much he can remember. A person who is having good memory will get good marks. The person who is having less memory will get less marks. See, this is what was there in the education system. Even that happened, continues now also, that we mainly emphasize on the memory only. We emphasize on memory only, not much on the skills, not much on the attitude. But de-emphasis was given on memorization. They said that there should be something called as a continuous and comprehensive evaluation. You know, earlier systems, even when we were in school also, they used that some class test and other things they used to do. But that marks was never used to be considered for the final examination. Final examination was important for us. That was yearly once it used to happen. At the end of that year, you'll have to remember the syllabus of the whole year, the curriculum of the whole this thing you have to remember, and go and sit in the examination hall and write. I remember many students, they never study throughout the year. Just 1 week before the examination, they take out the books, take out some guide or some notes, they sit there and keep reading continuously, repeat it, keep writing here and there, and somehow they try to memorize the things and go to the examination hall. And even just entering the exam hall also, outside also, they will read something, sit inside, write everything, come out and forget it. So fill it and forget it. That is what is the concept. So second year when they go, after completing first year, the second year if you ask them a question, can you explain about this? They say, no sir, I don't remember anything. For the exam I studied and I wrote very well, but now I don't remember. See, what is that in fact we are making here the student? We are not making them to learn. We are only making them to remember for short period, write in the examination, get good marks and over. Your work is over. And they said that we should give less emphasis on the memorization. We should introduce continuous and comprehensive evaluation. We should give grades instead of marks. NP in 1986 said that we should start giving grades. In fact, now slowly number of universities, they have started giving grades. So giving grades will make the student to be more involvement. More involvement of the students will be there when we give the grade than the marks. Marks will make some sort of a differentiation, too much of differentiation between the students. To avoid that too much of differentiation, so they said that grades can be given, and they even suggested that we should come out with semester systems, continuous assessment, and continuous improvement in the education should happen. These are all some recommendations that was given in the NPA 1986. I'm sorry that there is some slide I'm not able to move. Yeah. What are the needs of the higher education today? See, higher educations must be able to achieve personal enlightenment, constructive community involvement, and productive contribution to the society. See, our education system today is only helping an individual to gain the knowledge, but we are not able to make him to contribute to the society. Ultimately, whatever the education which we give, our government wants to give to the person, it should contribute to the society. Ultimately, the society should get benefit out of the education that he has achieved. If society is not getting the benefit, he himself is getting benefit, then what is the use of education? So higher education must have these type of things, that it should give some productive contribution to the society. It should prepare the students for a meaningful and fulfilling lives. See, fulfilling life is very, very important, and it should have a economic independence. It should bring in a candidate. It should provide the basis for knowledge, innovation, and also help for the country's economic growth. Country's economic growth is very, very important, and all these things should happen. It is not that you give some education to the person, give some subject to the student. That subject will not be of any use to that person in his life. But still, for the sake of completion of the course, he will study that particular subject. He forgets that subject. He will never apply that particular subject anywhere. So ultimately, what happens? That there is no use of what he has studied. So this should go away. We should provide them the subjects which are useful to them, and make them to have more knowledge in them, and make them to utilize for contribution to the society, not only for personal growth, also for the societal growth, and also for the country's growth, economical growth. These things should happen. That's why we say that we should have, there should be a great opportunity that should be provided to the students. And we should also come out with something like vibrant, socially inclusive, cohesive, prosperous, mature, productive, creative, thriving, and prosperous knowledge that ultimately makes the nation proud. So what are the things that we should inculcate in the students? What transitions are required? One is, yes, the education should expand thinking and bring something like a challenge in the mind of the student. See, when there is something challenging is there, the person will be interested. If there is no challenging thing, you just ask him to read something for the purpose of getting marks, he may not show that much of interest in really doing the things. One is that it should expand thinking and challenge. Second one is that the education should make the person physically active. Don't give him some education wherein he simply sits at one place. Throughout his life, he will be spending his time on a chair and table. He will not have anything else to do. He should also be physically active. In fact, in an earlier session, Dr. Hemant was mentioning about how important is that we should be physically active. We talk about today yoga. One of the participants was mentioning that we should introduce the yoga programs in the course structure also. Yes, they're all very important because people should be physically active. When they're physically active, that's why there's a lot of importance today given for the practice of yoga. See, when we make yoga, your body becomes so fresh, your body becomes so enthusiastic, and you will be able to give more than what you can do otherwise. That means productivity improves. So there should be some sort of a physical thing also should be included in the curriculum. Like you say, field work is included, some sort of a practical is included, role play is included. So physically students are active. Then social. See, education should not make him to make a limited exposure within the classroom. He should be exposed to the society. He should meet the people outside. He should have a community interaction. So what will happen is that overall, that's why, government is encouraging in other ways, like they say NCC and NSS and NSS camps and all that they do. But it is not uniform across all the education system that is there in India. Maybe in some colleges, some government colleges, some degree colleges, they have NSS units, NCC units, fine. Students are getting some community exposure. What about other colleges? They don't go out of their classroom only. From morning to evening, they sit in the classroom. They just spend the time in the classroom and they go to home. In fact, they will not be even knowing how to speak with other person. In fact, parents get worried many times that how do I teach my son to speak with the relatives or the guests who come to my house? He's not able to speak to them properly. He becomes introvert many times. He goes and sits inside a room. He will not even interact with anybody there. So this is also another problem that normally we see because students are not exposed to sort of a social interaction with the community. That's quite important. There should be encouragement for social engagement. Then emotional and psychological. In fact, today, a lot of importance are given that students should be counseled. Students should be told what is good, what is bad. Because the internet has brought a lot of problems in the mind of the students. Students read something and they get influenced by some things which they come across in the internet. In fact, they get emotionally disturbed. They get psychologically disturbed because of the situations that are happening around them. See, there's a sort of, I always see that there is a positive side of the internet is also there. The negative side of internet is that they are so emotionally affected today. We see a lot of suicide cases, especially in professional colleges. We see that suicide the students make. They go for depression. You see the children who are in villages. They enjoy their life. They enjoy their life. You always see them playing, shouting, running, jumping. See, that is because they are emotionally very strong. They are emotionally very, that is psychological are normal. But we should encourage them. We should counsel them. We should give them a proper emotional and psychological changes that we should bring in the students so that they remain active. They are very strong in executing the things. Finally, moral education is very, very important. There should be a moral, there should be ethics. We should give students an opportunity to clearly understand what is good and what is not good. That's very, very important. In fact, these changes should happen in the educational system. Then only there will be an overall 360-degree development. We say 360-degree development is quite important. It is not that you ask the student to come in the morning and go in the evening. That's not the education is all about. We should make him a totally 360-degree development that should happen in an individual. What is the problem with the current education system? No emphasis on creativity, innovation, and diversity. This is the big problem in the education system today. We don't have an opportunity for creativity. We don't have an opportunity for innovation. If you have to do what is prescribed there, this is the syllabus, this is what you have to study, this is the practical, you complete and go. So there is innovation scope is very, very less. We have seen somewhere in the school and all that, they will have some school exhibitions or some model making and all that. See, these type of things should even come in the higher education system also, wherein students are made to think, come out with creative ideas, come out with creative things. We say, we should give more opportunity for them for the poster presentations, come out with their own ideas and make some sort of a presentations. That is very important. Second one is there is no focus on skill expansion. Again, I have told that just theoretical subjects are taught to them. No skill expansion happens. You don't focus on the skills at all. You are just, theory is there, you study the theory, come to the examination, write there and go. That is the problem which is there. The third aspect which I see is the teachers are not properly trained. See, teachers are not at all trained. What do they do? Whatever the way they have learned during their studies, same thing they will try to do for the next students. I come with to the theory class, I bring my notes, stand in front of the student and read the notes or explain them. And I expect I'll ask few questions to them and I go. I'll ask the same questions in the examination. Students will write, I'll give the mark. That's all. And my work is over. I get my salary, my work is over. See, we need to even train the teachers that how innovative teaching can be done, how we can try to check the talents that are there in the minds of the students, try to bring it out, and some sort of a change in the teaching learning methodology is very, very important. In fact, I think this type of training program, you are undergoing a special faculty development programs or a short-term training programs, etc. These type of trainings should be given to the trainers, that is the teachers, so that they become efficient, they become more innovative, their ideas will also change. There is a requirement of a paradigm shift in the way the teaching is done today. And very limited scope to find talents. See, we know no scope for finding the talents today. In your class, there are 40 students. Some students are having a different type of talents. We fail to take out their talents or find out what is the talent that person has got. We only teach them, we ask them to write, and we ask them to pass the exam and go. Last one is, the problem is that our emphasis is mainly on the examination scores. Always, anywhere you see, it's only examination score. They will ask, hey, what is the marks you have scored? Oh, marks is not good. Marks is very good. Oh, he is an excellent student. His marks are very good. And his all job opportunities, everything is based on the marks only, but less importance is given on the skills. Less important aspects are given on the skill. Everyone is made to believe that exam scores is the key to success. In fact, that is the situation today. Exam score is the one which is required for the success. So why reforms are required? Let me talk about why reforms are required. We have to make the changes, all the problems that I have told you, that in order to come out of that, there is a requirement of reforms that should happen. We should have changes in the duration, the structure and design of the educational program. In fact, this should match with the requirement of the graduate in the society. Say, I want to make him as a pharmacist, I want to make him as a doctor, I want to make him as an engineer. The structure, the duration, and the design should exactly match with the ultimate requirement that is required when he comes out and start doing the work. There should be sort of a less content, but more learning of critical thinking, problem solving, creative, multidisciplinary, innovative, adaptive, absorptive of the new and novel ideas. These type of education we should do. See, content should become less, whereas there should be an opportunity for them to accumulate the knowledge from various sources and build it upon, so that they understand the problem solving. They start thinking critically. They will become very creative. They should become multidisciplinary. He should have idea of all the things. Then only he will become a successful. And even the teaching technique, the pedagogy must evolve to make the education more experiential. It should be holistic, integrated, inquiry-driven, discovery-oriented, learning-centered, discussion-based, flexible, and in fact, enjoyable. Ultimately, the education should be enjoyable by the students. In fact, teachers make sometimes the education enjoyable. Some teachers you always remember in your life, the way they used to teach. That is because they make that particular subject so enjoyable. They make enjoyable. If you want every teacher to make a subject so enjoyable, even there should be a change in the design of the structure should have. Some teachers, we say, maths, what innovation I can make? I'll have to write the problem and I'll have to explain that. But there are teachers who make even maths enjoyable. They make the maths enjoyable. Somebody makes physics enjoyable, because the way they teach, the way the examples are given, that make the student to really enjoy. It becomes sort of a inquiry driven. So they start inquiring, they start thinking about that. See, we should prepare the professionals who are having ethics in them. They should have public purpose, discipline, and education for practice. So ultimately, education should have ethics in it. It should have discipline in it. It should have some education should be for the practice. It should have interdisciplinary thinking, discussion, debate, research, innovations. All these things should be there in the education. And various types of skills should be inculcated in the students, like communication skills, critical thinking, problem solving, teamwork, organization skills, management skills, information technology skill should be a part of the curriculum. I am talking about all these things because indirectly we are going to assess all these things. At the end of the education, we should be able to assess all these things, not the current type of examination system wherein only some part only is assessed and many things are not assessed. When these come as a part of the curriculum, all these things, whatever I have discussed now, comes as a part of the curriculum. Definitely we can develop models to really assess all these capabilities in a particular student. Okay, now let me just give that we have to, there is a need to find the talent and then nurture it. That is what we are failing here, that we are not able to really check into. So just one or two examples. This cannot be an analogy to the education to the human being, but I'm just giving an analogy. You take monkey, you take elephant, you take deer, and you take crocodile, and train all these animals. Even today you can train animals. Okay, train them, make all these animals to climb the tree, lift heavy weights, run fast, and they stay in the water and all those. Whatever the type of training you give, whatever the or even without training also, ultimately you see what they do. They do things only which they are interested and they are capable of doing. You can't make these type of animals to the things do in the similar way. It is not possible at all, even if you train them in whatever the way you want. That means the importance is that we have to find the talent in the student at the budding stage only, at the school levels only. What is his orientation? What is his interest? And give him more training. At the end of the day, he will become a very successful person. That is why in India, we are not getting too much of Nobel Prizes, because the education system is common for everybody. We fail to find out what is the talent a person has got, and we never nurture it. We never nurture it. For example, somebody is very good in music. He has to undergo the formal education only. He has to do the normal physics, chemistry, mathematics, biology, social studies, and social sciences, and all those things. Ultimately, in order to cope with these studies, his interest in that particular area and the talent will go away. So ultimately, he will become jack of all but master of none. He will not become an expert musician at the end of the day. That is because we failed to find the talent and nurture the talent. In fact, when you go back to the Vedic ages, Gurukulas, if you see, there the teacher or the guru used to check what is the capability the Shishya has got, and he used to specially train that person. You know the story of Arjuna. Arjuna is very good in archery. So he was trained in that particular field because he had got talent in that field. Whereas we see Bhima is a good wrestler. So his training was on wrestling only. So they used to identify the talent that person has got, and they used to make. That is how in ancient India, if you see, we have come out with so great people, like you see Charaka. Charaka is good in medicines. You see Shushruta, a very good surgeon, because his teacher tried to find, and he was able to find what talent that person has got, and special training was given to him. Special training was given to him. In fact, we will have to come out with that particular model, which was there in Gurukula system of education, wherein you find the talent and nurture the talent and come out with some experts in a particular area. This is what is very, very important. Okay, how things are moving. Teaching. From teaching, we also focus now on learning, whether students are learning, and finally we are making some examination. And we try to even now try to find out whether there will be slow learners, whether there are average learners and fast learners. You cannot teach everyone in the same pace. You will have to first identify what type of learners they are. And even the examination system is also slightly getting reformed. We had examination, then we call it as now evaluation. Evaluation is a little more comprehensive. Then today's word, we are calling the word assessment. So assessment is something broader than the evaluation. It is more broader than the evaluation. So it is passing through oral testing, written testing, public examination, internal examination, external assessment, continuous assessment, comprehensive evaluation, competency-based education. So new concepts are evolving in the examination field also today. So assessments are what has taken today, finally, that issue. So preparation of new assessment pattern, what we should do really. Building of a culture of formative and adaptive assessment. Don't do only the summative assessment, the end of the course, don't do some examination or assessment. You should have a culture of formative and adaptive assessment. And there should be capacity building of teachers to make a proper assessment to the students. Assessment for learning, assessment as learning. So when they are doing learning also, you should do assessment, and assessment for learning at the end also, you should do assessment. That means there is a need for formative assessment, continuous assessment, and end term assessment. So assessment as learning, assessment for learning, both should happen. Capacity building paper setters and moderators for new assignment. This is one of the major problem that we see in India is the question setters. Question setters. Proper training is required for question paper setters. In fact, as a controller of examination, many times I find problem in the questions that come to the students when we get from the QP setters. They just want to make some question and give it to the student. So some question is set and given to the student. See, that is not the idea. The idea is that your question paper quality should be so that you will try to assess the students properly. So this is one of the important things. And even moderators also should be trained. See, question paper somebody sets and gives, somebody should also moderate that and give it. Like we have today talk about multiple choice question, essay type of questions and all those things. See, even there also you should make the subject, the question so interesting, the students will have to think, critically think before he answers it. That's quite important. Preparation of question bank for the competency-based items. The competency-based items. So today the focus is going today on the competency-based education. So the question banks we should prepare for the competency-based items, like you have case studies which are given. Various type of competency-based questions, problem-solving questions will come and all those things. Development of rationalized assessment pattern and evaluation. That should be rational in the assessment pattern. It is not that somebody they say this evaluator is very liberal, he gives very good. This evaluator is very strict, he will never pass student. So what is that we are ultimately doing here? And many times students also say that my paper should not go to this person because he is very strict evaluator. My paper should go to this person because he is a very simple, he will give very good marks. See, what is that ultimately we are doing here? And some teachers I have seen, to become popular, they give more marks. Some teachers will give less marks to show that I am very strict. See, it is not that I become more liberal, I become strict, I become popular, whatever. There should be a rationalized, proper assessment system so that student satisfaction is ultimately achieved. Development of a plan to reduce the burden of exam. Today's students are having a big problem is the burden of exam. Exam is a torture for the students. They always say exam is there. It is tension not only to the students, even to the parents. Even to the parents. Even at school level, for my own daughter, I will have to worry. Oh, she has got unit test tomorrow. What to do? She has to study that much. She says, please bring me a photocopy of these notes. This is some special, it seems, my friend has given and all that. What is that we are making? Burden of examination. Make them to study throughout the night. Make them to wake them up in the morning, 4 o'clock. You start study. Test is there. You read this, read that, and all that. See, we have to develop a plan to reduce the burden of exams and review of the subjects that are offered. In fact, a critical review of the subject that we are offering to the students is quite important. Then only we will be able to come with a curriculum that will be adaptive, that will be useful to the student as well as to the society. And preparation of common norms, standard guidelines for assessment and evaluation. That's what I was telling. There should be some standard norms and guidelines for the assessment and evaluation. Now let us talk about what NEP has said about the assessment. So NEP emphasizes its focus on the regular formative assessment for learning rather than the summative assessment. They say that there may be summative assessment, doesn't matter, but you should also give importance to the formative regular assessment. So that is very, very important. Next one is criteria-based grading system based on the learning goals of each program. See, you should identify what is your expectation at the end of the study, and you should assess whether the candidate is has really achieved this or has not achieved this. This is what is very, very important. And high-stake examination to more continuous and comprehensive evaluation. Please go from high-stake evaluation to continuous and this thing. Then there will be shift from summative assessment to regular and formative assessment, which will be competency based, which promotes learning, development, test higher order skills such as critical thinking, analysis. And that's what I told you, that we should go for more formative assessment, competency based assessment, and focus on assessment for learning, assessment as learning, test for higher order skills like analytics, critical thinking, conceptual clarity, and this will help the entire educational system in revising continuously the teaching learning process and to optimize the learning. So NEP has very clearly given guideline that how our assessment should be. It should not be just an examination that is conducted at the end of the year or end of the semester. Okay. There are two terms now. One is we call it as assessment. The other one we call it as evaluation. So what is assessment? Assessment is the process of gathering of data to measure the degree of attainment of the course goal. See, assessment is we are trying to get the data to measure the degree of attainment of the course. For example, we do class test, we do quiz, we do assignment, oral test, term paper, oral presentation, case study, lab report, practical, theory. All these various components are taken together and then they are finally checked whether we have attained the course goals or not, and that is called as the assessment. Whereas evaluation is only the quantification of the student's competence based on the evidence or the collected data. For example, his theory answer script is there. It is valued and marks is given. So this is called as evaluation. So practical examination is conducted, marks is given. Okay, that is. Whereas the assessment is something where we try to take the data that we have got from various examinations and evaluations and try to analyze at the end that what is the attainment that the student has really achieved based on this. So that means assessment is the process and evaluation is the quantification of the collected data. So assessment is actually a process wherein we'll try to collect the data, by doing examinations and the evaluations, and finally try to combine with or link it with the attainment of the goals of the student. So what are the examination changes that NEP has suggested? It is said that examination will be simplified and it will be tested for skills and competency rather than memorization. See, this is what NEP says. It will be simplified and the testing will be done mainly for skills and competency rather than the memories. And they say that you should introduce sort of a semester scheme wherever possible and introduce what is called credit-based choice system. Give choice of subjects to the students. Let them select what is important for them, what is interesting for them, and let them become more specialized in that particular subject which they have chosen. Shift from integrated assessment to general and constructive assessment. In fact, what they say is that just don't do an integrated assessment. Integrated assessment, what is integrated assessment? You call to the practical, you do some, ask him to do practical examination, give some marks there, call him for Viva there and complete the Viva and give the marks to that and add both of them and say that this is the marks for the practical and Viva and give it. No, they say that there should be an sort of a general and constructive assignment. There should be different headings like high level skills, analytical skill, critical thinking, cognitive clarity. All this you try to give various marking, various type of scores. You try to find out whether in what he is not doing well, why he is not doing well. This type of analysis is important. That's why now the Ministry of Education has come out with PARAK, that means performance review and analysis of knowledge for holistic development. This is what PARAK they say. It will be established as a standard body, and this is going to set the standards and guidelines for the student assessment and evaluation. Okay, transformation of the structure of assessment. So continuous tracking of learning outcomes, quite important. We should continuously track whether the student is getting our learning outcomes are achieved or not. University examination should be made more flexible with assessment of essential skills. Essential skills measurement should happen, which is not happening. The focus should be on assessment of essential skills. Whether, see, I am going to produce a pharmacist, whether he has got all the essential skills. He want to become a community pharmacist, he want to become a doctor, he want to become an engineer, whether that skills to really meet the requirement of the profession, whether the skills he has got or not, we'll have to really measure it. Assessment to focus on the core concept, higher order and foundational skills. It should focus on that. We should use the artificial intelligence based softwares to help track the process of the students. In fact, you see medical education, that is MBBS education, if I see from last 3-4 years, a lot of changes are happening. They have introduced now competency based education. They have made simulation labs compulsory in the medical colleges. And a lot of artificial intelligence and softwares are available for the purpose of really giving training to the students and to assess then and there only. In fact, even in pharmacy colleges, I have seen that pharmacology experiments are conducted using some softwares and all those things. So such type of simulation and such type of artificial intelligence and computer aided educational techniques should be developed in every field so that student can have a self-assessment of what he has really learned. Self-assessment can be done. So continuous assessments can be done. So these things somehow we should come out. And National Assessment Center, that is called PARAK, will become a greater synergy, which will help in the framing of the examination rules and this thing. And self-assessment and peer assessment will happen. And in fact, they have given much importance to National Testing Agency, that is NTA. This NTA, National Testing Agency, will come out with sort of the educational system, examination system that we should develop in such a way that students need not go for coaching and other things. They should become self-sufficient to attend any type of competitive exams. This is what is actually the idea that is there in the National Education Policy. But this is what I was telling the national education policy. It is the PARAC, which is a statutory setting body under Ministry of Education, which stands for Performance, Assessment, Review, and Analysis of Knowledge for Holistic Development. This is the full form of this. And objective of this PARAC is, which comes under Ministry of Education, is setting norms, standards, and guidelines for assessment and evaluation, guiding the state achievement survey. They will guide the state achievement survey. In fact, they have introduced what is called as SAIS, that is State Achievement Survey, where they try to find out what the outcomes that we want to get from the students, whether they are achieved or not achieved in a particular state. Similarly, National Achievement Survey and monitoring learning outcomes in the country. These are all the objectives of this PARAC, which is a standard setting body under the Ministry of Education. So again, one more important body which is going to have control over the examination and assessment systems in India will be the National Testing Agency. They will work to offer high quality common aptitude test and high quality common subject examination like science, humanity, language, arts, vocational, at least twice in a year. See, they will try to give this type of high quality common aptitude test. This will make the student to prepare themselves and their various type of skills and thinking process, problem solving things will also come. It will serve as a premier and expert autonomous testing organization to conduct entrance examination for undergraduate and postgraduate admissions and fellowships in the higher education. They say that they want to make this as a premier and expert autonomous testing agency, so that this agency will take up the assignment of the entrance test and other things that will happen. And universities can use these common entrance tests that is been made by the NTA. And instead of having their own entrance examination, they can take from the NTA and drastically reduces the burden on the students. See, there's a lot of burden to the students today that they will have to prepare for so many examinations, so many entrance examinations. I have to prepare for engineering separate examination, medical I have to go for NEET examination, maybe university conducts its own examination. For different courses, I say they have their own examination. It will cause a lot of tension to not only the students, to parents also, and too much of money also you need to spend on this to make him to write various entrance examinations throughout the country. Instead of that, NTA will conduct a common examination, the scores of which can be used by various stakeholders for the purpose of admission. And individual universities and colleges will have a liberty to see the value of using NTA assessment for their admission, so they can take that and they can use that for the purpose of admission. So they have given some flexibility. The curriculum and teaching methodology can be designed by the institution, and you should extensive use of technology should happen. In fact, use of technology, you should start using technology today. In fact, you know, I was going through the success story of the Byju's. Byju's have done excellently well because they have effectively used the technology for the delivery of learning. See, students learning, they have adopted the technology to the fullest extent. That's why they have become so successful, because even though the classroom teaching is not required, just by using technology, they are able to deliver education which is very similar to the classroom technology. So extensive use of technology should also happen. That will be stimulating and it will be attractive for the students to learn. Continuous assessment of learning will be used. Choice-based credit system is required to be given. You should give some choice-based credit system. And higher education institution will go through a case-based screening program that assesses the students achieving according to the learning objectives of each program. That means for each and every program, you should have learning objectives, and at the end, you should try to measure whether all these learning objectives have been met or they are not met. Even today also in our syllabus, we say that objectives, some objectives will be written, then syllabus will give out. Are my assessment techniques are really translating into the attainment of the objective? I don't know. I have no idea. Simply for the purpose of making a syllabus, I have written the learning objectives. In fact, many of them don't even read that learning objective. They simply study from the syllabus only and they will finish it off. And added to this, the corona and the COVID and all those things have reduced the syllabus also. Half of the learning objectives are removed from that. Selective topics are taught to the students. See, ultimately, education is just, it has become sort of a process of giving something to the student to get his degree. That should not happen. The educational change, metamorphosis, paradigm shift should happen. So there should be various models that we should use for formative assessments. Like there should be open book, written test, open book examination should happen. Students should be asked to refer book, and they can bring a big book and sit in front of you, ask them to bring the book like Remington's Pharmaceutical Sciences and sit in the examination. We'll ask you some questions. See, the student would have read the Remington's Pharmaceutical Sciences so that at least he will be able to know where that answer is there. So by that, at least you are making the student to go through that particular book. So open book examination should also be encouraged. Closed book examination, class participation. Class participations are now very, very less. In fact, earlier it used to be there. You ask the student to make some presentation. You ask the student many questions. Nowadays, even teachers don't ask questions, and students also get irritated if you ask questions. That should not happen. You should encourage the students for their complete participation. Assignment should be given. Even sometimes this is also a debatable topic. Many times they say so much of assignments they are giving it to the students. They don't have time to study. They are only giving assignments. But assignment is not that you make them to write 10 times and 5 times same thing, or just copy the notes which is given in the class 2 times and bring and show it. This is not the assignment. Assignment should develop sort of a critical thinking. It should come out with some new ideas that should come in his mind. In his own words, he should write. He should not just depend on Google and write something and bring and show it to you. And there should be viva examination, oral tests, verbal tests, presentations, project-based assessment, comprehensive test, multiple choice questioning, logical and complex test, activity-based assignment, offline and online quiz, subject-based specific test. See, varieties of things that you can think of. These things can be adopted in the formative assessment. You have formative assessment and summative assessment. Yes, summative assessment is conducted by the university. There is formative assessment, you have all the flexibility where you try to use any of these things in order to enthuse the students, in order to infuse the interest in the mind of the student, so that the assessment becomes more attractive to the students. Finally, in summative assessment, you should have the oral examinations in every subject, viva should be there, and written test should be there, various type of tests. In fact, I have seen in medical education, that is in MBBS, a lot of importance is given to the viva examination. In pharmacy colleges also I have seen the viva examination happen, but to a lesser extent, you just call 2-3 people, ask to sit in front of you, ask few questions, and then ask them to go. And whereas in medical examinations, I have seen that they give a lot of time for the viva examination. I have seen some examinations where 4 examiners sit independently in different corners of the room, and each student has to spend 15 minutes on each of these examiners. He will sit in the first table first, then he goes to the second examiner, then goes to the third examiner, and then comes to the fourth examiner. See, viva is given a lot of importance in medical examinations or medical assessments. Somewhere we should also come out with this type of methodology. In fact, I have seen in our answer booklets, we had made something like EX1, EX2, EX3, EX4. That means there will be 4 examiners. Examiner 1, how much marks he has given. Examiner 2, how much he has given. Examiner 3, that is what. But when it came to the pharmacy college, our pharmacy college students, our pharmacy college teachers thought it is not the examiner. They thought it is experiment 1, experiment 2, experiment 3, experiment 4. And they called me and said, sir, why you have put an experiment 4 also? We are giving only 2 experiments. What can we write for 3 and 4? I told it is not a experiment, man. It is actually examiner, how much marks he has given, you should write. You should take the average of that. This is what I had to tell them, because that is what the misconception we have got. Viva is not at all given importance. And in fact, in many of our examinations, pharmacy examinations, I have seen, they divide themselves. The external examiner, you tell, you ask viva, I will do the practical evaluation. Or you do practical evaluation, I will do the viva. See, these type of things, we divide the roles and we try to assess student. Something we just make that. and we finally compile the marks and send it to the university to give the final award. That should not happen. The Viva voce is in fact very important to really see. So student will also know that anyway they will ask you a question, don't worry about Viva voce. So this should not happen. Then even written test, there should be various types of questions that should be there. There should be essay type of question, short answer type of question, multiple choice, comparison type of question, open questions. Open question is something where students will be thinking and writing. You give an opportunity to think and write the answer on his own. True or false type of things should be asked. So this will make the student to critically think, not just memorizing and writing something. And even practical and clinical examination, you should assess various skills. There's communication skills, professional attitude, procedural skills, laboratory skills, critical thinking, reasoning, problem solving, teamwork, management skill, information technology skill. See, we have to try to analyze everything by using summative assessment. So somewhere we said that in practical, there is a lot of variation that happens in the marks that are given because there is no objective evaluation that happens. So that's why they brought something like OSCE and OSPE also, not very successful model in the Indian context. They say it is objective structured clinical examination. There will be station where some specific things that the candidate has to do and he has to perform his skills. Somebody will observe whether he is doing that properly or not. For example, measuring of blood pressure. The steps which he has followed is already predetermined and given. An observer will sit and check whether these steps are properly followed or not. The student will come and sit in that particular station. He will do that. The observer will just observe whether he has done all these steps, and based on that, he will give the marks. The first step he has done 2 marks. Second step he has done 2 marks. So they say it is a very objective, structured clinical examination. So when it comes to practical, we say objective, structured practical examination. So we try to introduce that, but in fact, it is difficult to make this in every subject that is possible. But one of the methods to make student to really express or show their skills, that's quite important. Next, we talk about the competency-based education. In fact, the medical education has gone a lot of changes, and they have introduced now CBME, that is competency-based medical education. And in fact, they have systematically done that because they have trained the teachers, they have given training on the CBME, how the course should run, and even the curriculum is also properly designed so that what are the outcomes that are expected. Today, in fact, the question papers, when I see the medical question papers like MBBS and all that, when we give it to the students, from one single page of question paper, now it has gone to 4 pages question paper, because a lot of case-based studies are given, and you make the students to think and write the answers. So these type of innovative things have been introduced in the medical education, and set of competencies that students must acquire at the time of graduation is listed. They list these are the competencies. You go through the National Medical Commission's CBME regulations. They have very clearly and in detail they have given what are the competencies that are expected out of the student at the end of the course. In each and every subject they have given. If he is an MBBS student in the surgery, these are the competencies that he should attain at the end of the graduation, and the examination should be done to assess whether he has achieved all these outcomes or not. So that specific competency-based education curriculum has been designed. In fact, the National Education Policy will definitely take us towards developing such type of curriculum in every course that we offer. That should happen, including even pharmacy education also. It should happen that we should come out with very, very clear competence that is expected out of students. There should be problem-based learning, case studies, simulation experiments, simulation and computer-based and artificial intelligence interactive tests should be there. These should. Then another concept we just want to quickly touch upon is the outcome-based education. Outcome-based education is that there should be a curriculum where there is a clear picture that we have. While looking at the syllabus, there is a clear picture is there that what is important in this for the student to learn. Okay, for example, I want to give a subject on maybe on the formulation, a formulation of dosage forms. Okay, I just want what exactly the student has to understand at the end of this particular course, pharmaceutical formulation, and make the syllabus in such a way and make the set of instructions that I should give to the student and what type of assessment I should make so that the learning ultimately happens. That is very important. Ultimately, the learning should happen. He should be good in every aspect of that formulation, that he should know about the concept. This is quite important. Not just make some syllabus, copy from various sources and make one syllabus and give it to the student. Okay, you read this, I will take one examination on this. No, it should be, the design should be such that what I am going to achieve by offering these type of courses to the student. There should be clarity of focus. These are the principles of outcome-based education. Clarity of focus. That means there should be, the teachers should be focused that what they want the students to know. Only these things the students should know, and they will be able to do. Say, I should do both the things. He should be able to learn, he should be able to do. On the basis of that, I will have a very clarity on my teaching. Many teachers give their lectures, out of which only 20 to 30% only will understand. Remaining things we say, I don't understand, it's enough, I understood only little bit of that. Because there is no clarity of focus. He will be simply teaching what he knows rather than what student wants. Ultimately, teacher should give what student wants to learn rather than what I know. Somebody wants to show his intelligence that I have done postdoc in US, and he start talking about high order chemistry, high order some other subject, which is not at all necessary for the student. Simply will be sitting and listening to him. At the end of the class, he will say, I don't know what he was teaching me throughout the class. We should have a clarity of focus, what I should teach. Next, design curriculum. The designing of curriculum should be such that there should be very clear intended outcome should be written. This is exactly what we say is CBME, that is competency-based medical education or competency-based education. You should have high expectations. That means you set, these are all my expectation at the end of the course. So what will happen is the students will be able to learn and deliver it to you. If you don't have high expectations, you don't, whatever you know, you write, man, it's okay, you have to get 50% to pass, it's okay. This is not the way that we should teach. We should have a high expectation from the students, so that students will be motivated that this is what is the expectation of my boss. This is what my boss, if he has got a high expectation, my performance will also increase. My boss himself is not having a high expectation. He say, hey, do whatever you want and finish it, close that. If he is telling like that, then I will also lose my interest. If my boss has got high expectation, then definitely I will also start working on that basis. So here my boss is, always expect that I should do that, I should do this, you come out with this, you come out with that. So what will happen is I will at least try to meet at least 50%, that is enough. I have done much better there. Then it should also give an expanded opportunity for the teachers, students also, that they will achieve more than what actually is required. So that is what is ultimately the education should be. He should be able to achieve more than what is expected. Okay. So there are various assessment tools that are used in objective-based, outcome-based education. That is formative assessment, summative assessment, criteria reference assessment, alternate assessment, authentic assessment, performance assessment, like live assessment by observation. You just see there that formative assessment during the course, summative assessment at the end of the course, criteria, student performance on specific standards, alternate assessment, like you just engage them in journal club, engage them in group discussion. Just alternatively, you try to find out what is this performance there. Authentic assessment, that is live assessment by the observation. Performance assessment, like you measure what is the performance, you measure it. This is what you can do. So transforming the culture of assessment, I have told you all these things. I'm just repeating the same thing. There should be continuous tracking of learning outcomes. Board and university exams should become more flexible, and assessment should be more focused on the core concept, higher order and foundational skills. Artificial intelligence based software should be used. National Assessment Center will bring in greater synergy in board examinations. They will try to bring sort of a similar type of examination, this thing, self-assessment, peer assessment, and even NTA. I already have told you that national testing agents will offer high quality common aptitude tests to eliminate the need for taking coaching for various examinations. See, ultimately, Bloom's taxonomy of learning domains tell that in a student, you should have these three things that should be at the end of the study should be measured. One is the knowledge, second one is the attitude, third one is the skill. So, but today's education is only focused on just checking the knowledge of the student, less on attitude and less on the skills. We should have an equal importance on measuring how much knowledge he has acquired, what attitude changes that has happened, and finally the skills he has acquired. So all these things should happen. That's why we just move from just having theory and practical examination, come out with various other models like mock counseling, simulation examinations, practical case studies, mute codes, field visits, project work, problem-based learning, presentation, varieties of things. In fact, pharmacy practice, I see, when I look into the pharmacy practice curriculum and pharmacy practice training, in fact, they are much better than the other field, because in pharmacy practice, I see a lot of things they do. They do mock counseling, they will give sort of a, try to see how they, see interaction with the patients they teach there. The communication skills are trained, problem-based things are given, case studies are given. Somewhere we are trying to change that, because the pharmacy practice concept came from the Western world. In fact, they have adopted all these things. Whereas other fields still we continue to do with the only first domain, that is cognitive domain. Mental skills only are measured. That is only the knowledge is measured. Okay. Then very quickly, I will talk about the credit-based, choice-based credit system. In fact, number of universities in general degree courses, they have introduced choice-based credit system, wherein students will be offered core subjects related to his particular field, then elective subjects, where a set of elective subjects are given. He can choose whichever he wants. Even some skill-based subjects are also given there. So this will help him to choose the subject which he wants. And grading pattern is given here, and flexibility of taking the subject. So I can take 2 electives, I can take 3 characters. I want to increase my credits, so I can take more subjects. In fact, the university marks card or transcript should add all the subject which student has opted. And ultimately, the marks is not given. We give the grade point average, and cumulative grade point average is given. There are 2 types of assessments are done. Formative assessment, which will have sessional examination, that is periodic in between examinations, and continuous internal assessments will also happen, like various field works and quizzes and various such things. And at the end also there will be semester and summative examinations happen. Classes and ranks will be based on the CGPA. Credit transfer facilities are available. You can take the credit from here and show that in some other course and get it added, and all this type of provisions are given. Very similar to that, even in NEP, they have given what is called as academic bank of credit. Academic bank of credit is something like a bank account to the student, wherein I take a particular subject which is having 5 credits or 4 credits. I take that subject, I learn that subject and undergo the assessment, and my credit will get added into my account. That credit will get added to my account. Okay. So again, I'm some other university, I go and take one more subject and take the credit there. So that again gets added. So like that, I can add these credits into my academic bank, that is called academic bank of credits. And when I accumulate a particular number of credits, then I will be awarded maybe a certificate, or a diploma, or a degree, and I can use this credit transfer to some other university where I go. I'll say already I have accumulated 20 credits. So now I am going to study for another 40 credits. So totally 60 credits it will become. I can transfer these credits and all these type of, it will be like a academic bank of credit will be like a bank account, wherein you can keep money in different bank account. You can transfer from here to there to here, and all those things. So such type of provisions are a new thought which has come. And in fact, as an administrator, as a university person, we'll have to think that how these things were going to happen, how the marks cards will come to those students, how credit transfers are going to happen. These are all, there are challenges which are there, but this is a very good concept that students need not just, they can redeem their credits to get an academic degree. So it promotes student-centric higher education, learner-friendly. Across the country, he can go different places and he select the best course, best combination of the courses which he wants to really take. He can tailor their degrees, make specific modifications, specifications, rather than undergoing a prescribed course or something. He can choose various types of courses. You have today's Swayam platform. You can undergo courses there, and interested subjects, you can accumulate the credits there. So these things are possible. And it will make seamless integration of campuses. So campuses will get integrated. And there will be mobility between inter and intra-university system. You can move from one university to another university. So it allows the student to choose their pace of study. Say, I want to just enter the credit. See, whereas in education system, you say 6 months you have to complete a semester. Whereas it is not like that there. You can accumulate the credit whenever you are free. You can take Swayam MOOCs course whenever you are free and get some credits and all those things. Multiple entry, multiple exit schemes will be available, and he can mobility from various disciplines. I just want a degree, I want a diploma, I want to go for PG diploma, I want to go for certificate program, whatever I want to do, depending on the credit. Yes. So last.
Dear participants, please mute. Dear participants, Uma madam, Uma Swami madam, I have muted you. Sir, please continue.
Yeah. Finally, I just want to tell about today's concept is something like online assessment, and even students want this because it will benefit them. Sitting at home and referring some material, they can answer the questions and all those things. But there is a requirement of a proper, structured and a standard methodology of conduct of online examinations and online assessment should happen. In fact, medical education I have seen because of COVID in the last 2 years, they have allowed us to invite the external examiner by video conferencing, and they are able to assess the students by video conferencing. We have set up a separate type of facility for online conduct of examinations. That is, and in fact, a lot of services are now available for online proctored examination, artificial intelligence based sitting at home examinations. So many such type of things are also coming up. Maybe there are new type of opportunities that are going to give, but ultimately, maybe our PARAK or maybe the NTA should come out with the standard methodology of conduct of these examinations, because unless you have a standard guidelines and standard protocols of how online examinations are conducted, it will become a failure model, because some students are very intelligent today. They will use their own technology better than your technology to just, today's demand, you see, any student, even for me, every day I get mail from the students. Sir, COVID is increasing. Don't do online examination. Sorry, don't do offline examination. It is spreading rapidly now. Omicron has come. New variant is going to come. Do only online examination, because they are very happy sitting at home, and they have all type of technology available today to discuss and write the answers and get good marks. This is not ultimately the aim of our education or objective of education. It's not just getting the marks and going from the university. We want them to be more professionals, and I have seen some advertisements where they say that the students who have passed by online examinations are not eligible. See, the credibility has gone, because they think that online examination means it is total fraud. They are not at all studying there and all those things. So some standardized methodology should be developed by NTA, and some guidelines should come out. Then only the credibility of online assessment examinations will happen. So this is what I told, the qualities of examination. It should be stress-free to the student. It should have a clarity, effectiveness, objectivity, accountability, and subjectivity. These are very, very important. And for successful implementation of assessment modules in the NEP, one is that there should be awareness. I am really compliment and even congratulate the Pune College of Pharmacy for having thought and made this short-term training program as a program for the teachers to know about NEP. That's very important. We should know what is NEP. That's very important. Second one is we should develop the curriculum and appropriate assessment method. We should make everybody to use extensively, use the technology. And we should train the teachers. That's quite important. We should train the teachers. Like CBME, I told competency-based medical education, they have given extensive training to the teachers there. Development of scales for outcome measurement. We should have a proper scales for the measurement of outcome. We should set norms, guidelines, standards for assessment. Design of question papers, development of question banks, very complicated thing which I see every day, the problems which I face, because question paper quality will not be good. Very difficult thing that they should have a proper training to the teachers how actually the question paper should be set. Similarly, design of how the practical and clinical assessment tool should be developed, like OSCE, simulation, or whatever you talk about, you should come out with a proper design of the practical and other things. In conclusion, I want to say that NEP 2020 has brought some hope in the changes in the Indian education system, but there are a lot of challenges to the students as well as to the teachers, because a lot of things we are talking about in NEP. We say about the flexibility of courses, examination pattern, and unique curriculum and all that. But it requires a lot of efforts has to be put in order to make it successful. By coming out, there's a requirement of core groups that are made in each and every discipline to come out with a very standardized teaching and assessment methods. And it will give good, NEP is giving a very good idea about the evaluation process, but it's challenging task. We need to make some sort of a 360-degree multi-dimensional assessment system that we have to develop. In order to make NEP successful, the teaching fraternity must adopt continuous learning habit. That is quite important. Many teachers don't adopt the continuous learning habit. Whatever they have studied 20 years back, same thing they'll be teaching to the students. They don't even upgrade their knowledge. They don't upgrade. That's what today AICTE is giving an opportunity for so many faculty improvement programs, faculty development program. That is because our knowledge should continuously get upgraded. Like the softwares get normally upgraded. Every day morning it says upgrade, update is available, because every day the update should happen, not only in the computers, even in our brain also. Our software should get updated. Then only we will be able to really meet the requirements of the society. And with the technology advancement, rapid globalization, and unprecedented developments such as COVID-19 pandemic, the proposed reforms mentioned in NEP shall focus on equity, inclusivity, digital literacy with the aim to transform India into knowledge superpower, thus making Indian education system on par with global practices and creating a technology-driven generation who is ready for the future work requirement of the country. So this is all just I wanted to speak to you. These are my acknowledgements for my presentations. National Education Policy of Ministry of Human Resource Development, Government of India. Then National Council of Education Research and Training, NEP 20 and Assessment Reforms Write-up, and various web resources. I'm very thankful to Bharati Vidyapeeth, Pune College of Pharmacy, Dr. Pawar Saab, who's my good friend, and in fact, I have spent good time with him when I was there in Pune College of Pharmacy, maybe a decade back, and also Dr. Hemant Jain, the SCP coordinator, and all the staff of Pune College of Pharmacy for giving me an opportunity. And I'm extremely happy to be presenting to all my dear and esteemed colleagues of teaching fraternity for your patient patient's participation. And thank you very much. If there are any queries, any questions, I will be happy to take up.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for such a valuable information, sir. The session is open for the discussion. Please, participant. Is there any question?
And this is just wanted to put my email IDs. You can just note down my email IDs. Maybe one is that I request you to visit our university also, maybe as an examiner, maybe for other examination assignments also. You can kindly send your CV to me by email, so that I will be happy to include you and call you for various university assignments. That's why you can kindly note down, or any other related discussions which you want to have. Maybe I also learn from you, you can also learn from me, whatever we know mutually, that we can exchange our information. You can kindly note down my this thing.
Definitely, sir. Thank you. Thank you so much, sir, for such a beautiful interactive session. Thanks.
Thank you, madam.
Yeah. I hand the session to Hemant Jain, sir. Hemant, sir? Yes.
Yes.
Sir, please accept our e-certificate and bouquet.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you for the valuable information. We have received the appreciations from the participants in the chat box. Even you can see that they have written that very valuable inputs for the examination reforms, excellent session, informative session. So thank you, sir.